Sherrod Brown has always been widely viewed by progressives as one of the better senators in the Democratic Party. He's great on labor issues. He's usually in lockstep with Elizabeth Warren and even Bernie Sanders sometimes. So it's really weird that once Bernie Sanders announced his Medicare for All bill back in, I think it was September of 2017, he didn't co-sponsor it. You had more establishment-minded people like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, all sign on to his bill. But Sherrod Brown, someone who we all widely expected would co-sponsor that bill, didn't. And now there's a very clear reason for that. It's because he doesn't support Medicare for All. And not only that, he has since moved to the right when it comes to Medicare for All, while the rest of the country shifts to the left and shifts towards the correct policy. So, as Nathaniel Wexel of The Hill reports, Senator Sherrod Brown took a shot at some of his fellow Democrats on Friday, saying that Medicare for All is not a practical idea. I know most of the Democratic Party candidates are all talking about Medicare for All. I think instead we should do Medicare at 55, Brown said. Brown, who may run for president himself, spoke during a roundtable discussion with the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce in Iowa. If someone has lost her job at age 58 or his plant closes at 62, he should be able to buy into Medicare early. It will cost a little bit more, but to me, that's about helping people now. It's something we might be able to get through Congress, Brown said. Medicare for All has been gaining traction among many progressive Democratic candidates like Senator Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Elizabeth Warren, and some on the left view support for such legislation as a litmus test. Brown is not historically opposed to Medicare for All as an aspiration, but he said he would rather focus on what's practical. I'm not going to come and make a lot of promises like President Trump did. I'm going to talk about what's practical and what we can make happen. And if that makes me different from the other candidates, so be it, he said. So reading this feels like a punch to the gut. It's so disappointing because this isn't something that I would have expected from Sherrod Brown. Not at all. Because think about this, someone who is widely viewed as a progressive is taking a stance that's less ambitious than someone like Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine supports a public option. Now, all of a sudden, Sherrod Brown just thinks you can buy into Medicare at 55. Now, when you consider the fact that the Affordable Care Act allows people to stay on their parents' health insurance plan until 26, well, that leaves people ages 27 to 54 shit out of luck if Sherrod Brown got his way. What about those people, Sherrod? Do they just get to die or go bankrupt if they have a medical emergency? That's your stance? Really? Wow. Now, this also is a lot more painful to see, the fall of Sherrod Brown when you consider where he was before. So during the Affordable Care Act debate, the Obamacare days when that policy was being written, can you guess who one of the people who wrote up a public option for that bill was? It was Sherrod Brown. Now, we all know that the public option never even had a chance, but he was one of the people that supported a public option and drafted a public option into the Affordable Care Act. Now, doesn't even support a public option, presumably. And now he's staked out a position to the right of Tim Kaine. I don't get it. Now, understand when he says practical, that it's not practical, well, presumably he's referring to the chances it has of passing. So he might personally feel as if this is the right policy, but when he says it's not practical, well, it's not practical because it can never pass. That's essentially what he's saying. In other words, even if he did support Medicare for All, he wouldn't want to fight for it because it would be too hard. And I get it. It will be difficult. He saw firsthand how him writing in a public option didn't even get a debate. It was taken out of the Affordable Care Act. So I get how you would have that cynical view, but you're a lawmaker. You're in a position of power. You can write policy that would save lives. And what he's saying is, I think that we should just allow people to buy into Medicare at age 55 and then we wash our hands. Done. And understand that Sherrod Brown isn't the only Senate Democrat who is a disappointment on this issue, because Elizabeth Warren, she was asked whether or not she would support the abolition of private insurance companies under a Medicare for All system, and she completely dodged the question. And when she spoke about healthcare, she kind of took the Kamala Harris approach and alluded to the fact that, oh, well, we should have many paths to Medicare for All, essentially meaning we shouldn't have Medicare for All. Because when Democrats say we should have many paths towards Medicare for All, understand that that's a dodge. They're saying, you know what? I support Medicare for All. That's an aspirational goal, but for now, if getting a public option or just a couple of fixes to the Affordable Care Act will suffice, we should go with that, and then one day we'll do Medicare for All. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There are so many crises going on in America. We're going to get distracted and move on to the next thing. So when you have political capital built up, and support among the public, 70% specifically, for this one policy, you'd be a buffoon to not go for Medicare for All. So this is why I don't support anyone but Bernie Sanders and probably Tulsi Gabbard on this issue, because when you are willing to not say Medicare for All in a nearly 2-minute response to a question, you're not serious about Medicare for All. You don't support Medicare for All, I'm not going to support you. You will not have my support. This is a common sense issue. Either you do or don't support people dying and going bankrupt every single year due to a lack of health insurance. The one party who's supposed to be on board with Medicare for All, who's supposed to be the party of the workers and the party of the people, well, they're not even willing to fight. They're already conceding before the fight begins. I mean, Jesus, what a hopeless opposition party, so-called opposition party we have. You expect Republicans to fight us on Medicare for All, but when it comes to Democrats, they should at least be more open to hearing us out, be more receptive to what grassroots activists are saying. But nope, they give us the finger.
Girly Mike Fettuccine needs your support on Patreon. What a loser. Visit patreon.com/Humanist Report to support the low ratings Humanist Report. Sad. My views are much higher.